Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Before I begin, don't forget to join my Discord server called Luke 10's Hangar. I plan on joining weekly, so if anybody wants to fly together, we can make that happen. My Discord server is linked down in the description below. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the P-38, and I just wanted to give my opinion on certain things people have mentioned. We're going to start off with number 1, quote, "It's really not that fast." I've seen this comment about the early model P-38s such as the E and G model. I think that comment is complete, for lack of a better word, malarkey. If you're coming out of a dive and the P-38 E or G on the deck, you can get it to well over 400 miles per hour. Even after you level out, you'll still stay around 400 miles per hour on the deck without any drastic maneuvers. Of course, the earlier model P-38s and even later model P-38s weren't as fast as P-51 Mustangs or F-4U Corsairs, but that still doesn't mean they, quote, weren't that fast. The P-38 is still a serious threat and is a very solid contender. If you want to fly low in the P-38 and try to take as many dogfights as you can, I wouldn't recommend this plane. I will talk more about its flight characteristics, especially when it's fast, a little bit later. Now we'll move on to my opinion on why people think it's not as scary as you think. If you're diving all the way down to the deck trying to get a kill and mess up, that's not necessarily the P-38's fault. You really shouldn't be down that low in a P-38 anyway. The P-38 is a high-altitude interceptor. It's made to fly high. It's really going to excel above 20,000 feet, and you will start seeing yourself climb a couple thousand feet a minute up at these altitudes. You're going to want to boom and zoom as much as you possibly can, but you have to pick your enemies very carefully. Some people might say you're a coward for climbing so high, or why don't you just come down and fight. You can't listen to them. You need to play your game. As I've said in the past, why would I put myself into a bad situation? The American teams that you get put with aren't always the smartest players and tend to die off pretty quickly, so you as the P-38 will have to try to bring the game back sometimes. Now let's get into the flight characteristics of this plane. I've heard tons of people say how horribly this plane handles and how uncomfortable it is to fly. I can totally understand where they're coming from, and yes, you can fly very uncoordinated in this plane if you're not careful. I see a lot of people not using their rudder and only relying on their ailerons. You have to remember that your rudder is a primary flight control surface and it will help you out a ton. This plane definitely takes some getting used to, but you have to remember, it's big and has a ton of power. It's not as small and nimble as a P-51 or BF-109, especially when you get it fast. This plane's flight controls will stiffen up to the point where sometimes you literally won't be able to pull out of a dive if you're not watching your altitude and your airspeed. All of this pretty much comes down to awareness. If you're an aware player in this plane, you will be able to help out your team and yourself heavily. You don't want to be so fast to the point that you can't pull up, and you really don't want to be taking risky one-on-one dogfights if you don't have to. Overall, if you can use good energy management and even good flap management in this plane, you should do pretty well. Now let's get into the gameplay so you can see my thought process throughout the kills that my teammates and I get. Now we're in the first game and I'm with my squad mates Honor, SPD, and James. We're just trying to climb above all the enemies. Like I said just before, the P-38 really excels above 20,000 feet. You will climb above pretty much all your enemies. It doesn't matter how many enemies are out there in the middle of the map, if you can boom and zoom correctly, you can do very well. Right now Honor and I are looking at the enemy LA-7. Honor's going to go down for him, and then thankfully he's able to rip his wing off. And then immediately after that kill, he's going to climb back up to altitude and he's always going to be looking around and being aware of all of his surroundings. Now I've got an ITS-25 in sight, and this guy's going to be really good at high altitude. But thankfully I'm above him, so I'm just going to use my altitude advantage. Right now we're just going in circles. I'm still just going to keep abusing my altitude, and I'm even going to put some flaps down here. Remember, flaps are going to create drag, but they also create lift, and whenever I put the flaps down, it's going to reduce my stall speed. I'm going to start diving down to the ITS-25, keeping my combat flaps in, then I'm going to switch to takeoff flaps, fire the gun, and I'm able to take him out. The P-38's flaps are also some of the best in the game. They're going to increase your turn rate by a really good margin. A lot more than some of these other props. If you're going to drop the flaps in the P-38, it's going to feel a lot better in the J and the L because they have the boosted flight controls. If you're going to drop flaps in the P-38E and the P-38G, you definitely just have to be a little more careful. And you also have to remember, whenever you're stalling yourself out or in slow flight, your ailerons are really not going to be very effective. Just like I said in the intro, you cannot rely on your ailerons. Your rudder's going to be a lot more effective at those slower speeds. So if you ever think the P-38 feels any more sluggish than it already is at slower speeds, think about what you're doing to the P-38. You can have the yoke turned fully to the left but have full right rudder in. That's not a good situation. If your nose is already up really high and you're about to stall yourself out, you can definitely put yourself into a spin. So I think the main cause of people not liking the P-38 is 1, pilot-induced oscillation, and 2, not really understanding how it flies. So right now, I got this FW-190. He wanted to come in towards me, but all I did here was just pull up. I just used my altitude and my energy to my advantage. I see it all the time where people just give up their advantage and fully commit a head-on. There is no need to fully commit a head-on in that situation. All you gotta do there is just have a little bit of patience. And then same thing right here, I got a Yak 3 coming in straight 12 o'clock in front of me. All I need to do here is just trade my airspeed for some altitude. I'm not going to fully commit a head-on there. I'm just going to stay above them and just keep boom and zooming. The 190's pulling straight up into me. I've got a lot more energy than he does. He's stalling himself out. I fire the gun, rip his wing off, and he's going down. Now I gotta remember, I still have this Yak 3 behind me. He's got a major water leak, so all I'm gonna do here is just climb and get above him. He gets too close to the airfield artillery and gets set on fire. Now I'm just gonna get in behind him. I'm gonna start to fire the 50 cals here, see if I can get a nice shot on him, but then of course he's able to put out the fire. But that's okay, because I'm a lot faster than him, and I'm coming in from behind him. He really can't do very much now. I'm just gonna fire the gun and take him out. And then immediately after that kill, I'm gonna climb back up to altitude, and I'm always gonna be looking around me, being aware of all my surroundings. Now we've only got 4 enemies left. As I'm climbing and looking around me, being aware of all my surroundings, I finally spot the FW-190. He's only 4 miles away from me. I know I have a little bit of time, but it's really not going to be very much. I'm just going to stay in the climb here. I know I've got my ally Bearcat coming in towards me, so I'm just going to try my best to bait myself. I know my ally Bearcat can get over here pretty quick. He's a very fast plane, but I'm not going to take that for granted. I still need to be very vigilant. I'm just going to hope that the 190 doesn't see the Bearcat. My ally Bearcat's coming in really quick. I just need to stay put and make my enemy think that he's going to catch up to me. But then of course the 190 breaks off just before the Bearcat can get a good shot off on him. The 190 probably heard the Bearcat's engine. Now I'm going to turn around and help out the Bearcat. But then just before I could get there, the Bearcat's able to take out the 190, set him on fire, and he's probably going to be going down. After a few minutes of just flying around, we finally get the enemies in sight. It's a P-38 and a BF-109. Now thankfully I'm above both of them, and I'm going to help out my Bearcat here. Hopefully this BF-109 doesn't see me. And as I'm in the dive, I'm just watching my airspeed and my altitude. I have to remember that this plane's flight controls will absolutely stiffen up really bad. So I just need to expect it. I'm just coming in closer and closer with my power killed. I start to fire the gun a little bit there. He's going way too fast to pull really any drastic maneuver, and I'm able to take him out. And now we have this P-38 to deal with, and we have to remember that he's got guns all around him. He will be able to pellet snipe us or hurt us really bad if he wants to. He's in the gunner view right now and starts to focus the F-8F. I know he can't go for the both of us. I start to fire there, and then I'm able to detonate a bomb, and then he goes down. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope this video helped expand on the ways people might think of how to fly the P-38 and realize that it really can be good if it's put into the right hands. If anybody has any suggestions on what aircraft I'm going to fly next, please leave it in the comment section down below and I'd be happy to fly that aircraft.